Watching America right now is a grief, not a frustration or an inconvenience, a grief. It's the loss of the future you thought you were building and the country that you thought you were living in. Grief needs to be named before it can be carried. You're not overreacting, you're grieving. With my art, I work a lot in the themes of grief. I have for a long time. I paint a lot of really dark night skies. I made this mug, which is very Van Gogh inspired. Grief is a language that I have unfortunately had to learn. I say unfortunately, I don't think it's really a shame because it's something that I like to understand so that I can enter in with others and so that I can navigate the griefs in my own life. Because every life will have grief. Whether you acknowledge the grief is really the question, because there's a million things that aren't just like the death of a loved one that deserve to be acknowledged as grief. And a lot of people resonated with that on Threads today, with what I opened this video with. The idea that you have to acknowledge the grief to be able to carry it. And what is going on in the US is a big grief. It's not surprising to a lot of people. I think sometimes it's really hard when you're dealing with surprise and grief and you're trying to carry both of those at the same time. So when you're caught off guard and you're dealing with the difficulty of grief, that's extra hard. And I think it's something that a lot of white Americans are going through right now. And I even have Black friends who have said, like, I didn't think it would get this bad again. So being Black in America is a completely different experience than being white. And so, 92% of Black women voters absolutely understood what the cost was, which is why they voted the way that they did. And a lot of white Americans did the FAFO approach. And then I think many people have lived to regret it. Regardless, there are a lot of white Americans who didn't vote that way, including myself. And I think we are grieving particularly hard right now because we loved and supported the progress that had been made. How did my dog get out again? Anyway, I've asked Black friends about their experience because fascism isn't new to the Black community in America. And oppression isn't new to them either. But I think that there had been big progress, not in small part due to the civil rights movements that have happened in the US, especially the civil rights movement of the 60s, specifically for equality for people who are Black. But those friends have said, like, yeah, I didn't think it was gonna go back to this. And so I do think that even though the Black community isn't shocked, you're probably also still saddened at the extent of the regression from what felt like big progress compared to America historically. So that leaves us here feeling the grief and trying not to get drowned by it. That topic, like not being overcome, figuring out how to acknowledge the grief but not completely be disabled by it. When I lost my best friend a few Decembers ago, there is this period of grief where you are completely non-functional. Like you're not eating well, you're not sleeping well. It's your whole reality. And America is experiencing this protracted grief, so it does have to be named so that you can move through the non-functional part and get back to functioning. And I wanted to share this painting with you. It's not quite done yet. I need to do a few things, but I painted this and I called it, sort of a long name, "If the grief won't stay in the frame, let it move you." And that can mean a lot of things. I think in America, it can mean let it move you to action. Let it move you to taking small actions of hope and solidarity and resistance. But you can see that, the frame is green and the ocean in the frame covered it. It escaped the frame. It couldn't be contained. And there are a lot of times in our lives where the grief cannot be contained. The grief is so heavy that we don't know what to do with it. And one of the things that I learned from my friend, Gretchen, who lived under this sense of existential dread for years with metastatic cancer, was how to feel the heaviness of grief as she looked at her future, which was much shorter than she would like it to be. There was this heavy sense of grief, and she said sometimes the grief was too much to process. She couldn't process her feelings. And so what she did was she said, I moved my body, just really gently, go for a walk, stretch, move your body in any way that you can to help you move through the grief. Movement helps you move through grief. That's going to be true literally in the sense of actually moving your body. But another thing that I think right now will keep us from despair is taking action, movement, doing something instead of staying in the grief. So I don't mean that we should, what is the word I'm looking for? I don't mean we should shortcut the grief. I think it needs to be acknowledged. It needs to be felt. It's very uncomfortable feeling grief. So I don't want to say move to avoid the grief. That's not what I mean. I mean, you have to hold the grief, right? We hold the grief in one hand and we give it our attention and we sort through the feelings. And then in the other hand, we hold joy too. And we have to look really hard for that. There was one commenter that said, it takes her a lot more effort these days to just find the beauty. I talk a lot about finding the beauty, finding the things to enjoy, choosing to find gratefulness for little things, choosing to pay attention to the lovely little things in your life. Okay, so we're holding grief in one hand and beauty or joy in the other hand. And we can give them both our attention. So, feel the feelings. Sometimes, though, the feelings are so heavy. That's what Gretchen was talking about. Sometimes when the feelings are so heavy, you can't sort through them. They almost make you frozen. And literally taking action, literally moving your body will help you move through the grief. And I think the people who are handling things the best in America and who aren't feeling despair or powerlessness on a regular basis are the people who have decided to do something, anything, small. And I've heard so many people say, it feels too small, I wish I could do more. But the people who are doing something, volunteering somewhere, taking neighbors, taking them to work, bringing groceries, letting people stay in their homes, working on voter rights and making sure that your community is set up for, where's my dog? Making sure your community is set up for fair voting, registering people to vote, volunteering at your library, doing things for your neighbors, knowing your neighbors. There's so many things. And so you don't have to do the stuff that you're really bad at. You know, I think we have a very narrow mind sometimes when we're thinking of what we can do. But the thing about resistance is it's a creative act. For me, over here in Portugal, I'm trying to help by giving people options for how to get out. You can look in my video description for my Get Me Out of Here bundle. It's really affordably priced, and it will tell you the things that you need to know if it's possible to leave, if that's something that you're wanting to do. So like part of what I'm doing is just helping people leave who don't feel safe there or who don't see a future for their kids there. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But also what I'm doing as an artist is I'm making art. I'm writing, I'm sharing true thoughts and writing about emotions. I'm writing about grief. Those are the ways that I am trying to take action right now with my particular gifts. So like some of you enjoy cooking, like maybe you can make some meals for people, or maybe you can go work at a soup kitchen. Like there's so many beautiful ways to use your specific giftings to take action right now. And so let the grief move you to action. I hope that we can all do this together and realize none of us feel sufficient. But cumulatively, we can make a huge amount of like beauty and light in the world just by doing these very small things that we're good at. I seriously don't know where my dog is, but she's making a lot of noise. That seems to be the theme this week. Yesterday, my dog was all drama too. I know, especially for mothers, there is this grief as you think about the future that you hoped your children would have. You hoped your country could provide this future for your children. And if you're like me, maybe you do not feel like your children have a future in America. And that's a huge grief. And it's also very scary. It feels very frightening. I just wanted to share, in my case, we left in 2019 to explore the world with our family, to live abroad, because it had been a long-term dream of mine. And I didn't want to get to the end of my life and look back and not have done that. And so we took off for a dream. But at this point, we don't feel that we are able to come back. Like we don't feel comfortable coming back. We really like living here in Portugal, so it's not that we want to come back, but we don't even feel like we have the option because of the particular mix of marginalized identities of our kids. So we are in a multiracial family, and we have a lot of other things going on that make it feel unsafe to go back to the US. And that is a grief for us, for sure. It's very disappointing. The door crack was not big enough for my dog. Hi. Wasn't big enough for her to come out here. Oh. Anyway, drama-rama. We don't feel that we're able to go back and live in the States, even if we wanted to. We're thankful to be here in Portugal. We're thankful that we get to stay. We have long-term residency here. But if you are struggling as a mom and you don't feel like there's a future for your kids that you like, I get it. I get it. And I'm happy to answer questions in the comments. I put together a resource that I mentioned. But if you're a mom who's trying to figure out how to get out, that's what my resources are for. So I would love you to take advantage of them if that's something that you're trying to figure out. For non-moms too, I interact a lot with retirees. I know there's a lot of people who want to go. Some of the people who are in their 50s and 60s who have chatted with me, they want to leave because they want to feel like their medical needs are going to be taken care of in America. I mean, I think back to this topic of grief, I mean, I think it's absolutely a grief when you've worked really hard and you're not really sure if the money that you have set aside or the money that you're making, even, if you're still actively working, is going to be enough to live comfortably and take care of your most basic needs like medical care. There's a lot of griefs to be had. I have another video, you can check it out, just about how gaslighting it feels to be told over and over that America is the best country in the world, but then to be afraid about things like food security and healthcare. It just doesn't make sense. Most of the world, like so much of the world, doesn't live that way. Especially countries that make the kind of money that America makes. It's not right. There are so many beautiful, beautiful, life-encouraging, humane things that America could be doing with its riches. And it's just a travesty. It is totally a grief that America is behaving and has always behaved in so many ways for parts of the population in this way that doesn't give people a humane existence when America is not hurting for money. So perhaps that's a topic for another day because my tea is gone. I'm doing a series right now, a daily series for the final 44 days of my 44th year. It's called 44 Ways I Built a Life That Doesn't Break Me. And it's about all the ways that living abroad has been healing for me. And I've experienced quite a lot of grief living abroad. Losing my best friend a couple of years ago to cancer was devastating. It continues to be devastating. And living at the ocean has been very healing for me. And just living abroad during this time has given me space and capacity to grieve. And I'm grateful for that. So I'd love it if you join me for this series. If you are grieving right now, America or anything else, say hi to me in the comments. I have such a heart for the grievers, the people who are real enough to admit what is weighing them down. You're my people. So thanks for being here with me, and I will see you later. Oh, I forgot the thing that I say. I'm Andy. I'm here to remind you to dare to truly live and to find the beauty, whatever that looks like for you. See you later.